music. Sometimes life teaches us something very quietly, not through success, not through victory, but through the things we couldn't hold on to, music, through the moments that slipped through our fingers while we were busy chasing everything else. Tonight, I want to talk about something simple, something honest. Tonight, I want to talk about something simple, something honest. The realization that in life we don't always get everything we want. And sometimes the one person who stands beside us through all the chaos, the failures, the dreams that didn't come true is the one we should have valued the most. This speech is about that truth, about understanding that we may not get everything in life. But if we have someone who truly loves us, someone we can call our wife, our partner, our home, music, then maybe, just maybe, we already have more than we ever realized. Life has a quiet way of teaching us truths that we often spend years trying to avoid. When we are young, we believe the world is a place where every dream can be captured. If we just run fast enough, work hard enough, believe strong enough, we grow up holding lists in our minds of the things we want to achieve, the places we want to reach, the life we imagine for ourselves. Success, recognition, comfort, victories that make us feel like we have conquered something meaningful. We chase those things with a fire in our chest, convinced that one day everything we want will finally stand in front of us. But somewhere along the road, life begins to speak in a quieter voice. It shows us that the path is not always straight, that the doors we expect to open sometimes remain closed, and that some dreams fade into the distance no matter how tightly we try to hold on to them. We start to realize that the world does not promise us everything. It doesn't guarantee that every wish will become reality. And that realization can feel heavy at first, like a weight pressing gently but firmly on the heart. There are moments when a person looks back at the road behind them and notices all the things that never happened, the opportunities that never happened, the opportunities that slipped away, the plans that slowly disappeared, the visions that once felt so certain but never came true. In those quiet moments, it can feel as if something important was lost, as if life somehow gave less than what was expected. But then there is another truth that slowly reveals itself, almost like sunlight finding its way through a small opening in the clouds. It appears in the simple moments, the ordinary evenings, the calm presence of someone who never left, even when everything else felt uncertain. And that truth often has a face, a voice, a warm and patient heart. It is the woman who chose to stay, the woman who became your wife. When a man begins to understand that life will not hand him every victory he imagined, he also begins to notice something else. He notices that while he was chasing so many different dreams, there was one gift already standing beside him the entire time. A person who did not ask for perfection, who did not require him to win every battle, who simply chose to walk with him through whatever life decided to give or take. Love like that is quiet. It does not demand attention. It does not compete with the loud ambitions of the world. It simply exists, steady and patient, waiting for the moment when the heart finally learns how to recognize its value. There are nights when a man sits in silence and begins to see his life with a clearer perspective. The noise of expectations fades away, and what remains are the memories that truly matter. A smile shared across a room, a hand reaching out in support when everything felt uncertain, a voice saying, "I'm here," without needing any explanation. Those are the moments that slowly reshape the meaning of success. Those are the moments that slowly reshape the meaning of success. Because the truth is that many people spend their entire lives chasing everything, only to realize at the end that the most valuable thing was never something they had to chase at all. It was already there, standing beside them, loving them through every imperfect step. A wife is not simply a title or a role in someone's life. She becomes something much deeper than that. She becomes a witness to every version of you. The hopeful version that believed the world would be easy. The struggling version that felt lost when things didn't go as planned. The tired version that needed someone to remind him that he was still worthy of love, even on the days when he doubted himself. And somehow she remains there through all of it. That kind of presence changes a person. It slowly teaches the heart that maybe life was never meant to give us everything we dreamed about. Maybe the real lesson was learning how to recognize the one blessing that matters more than the rest. There are people who have wealth beyond imagination, careers that the world admires, accomplishments that fill entire pages of history. But many of them still feel an emptiness that success alone cannot fill. Because achievements may impress the world, but they rarely warm the soul in the quiet hours of the night. Love does that. Real love, the kind that grows slowly through shared days and silent understanding, becomes something stronger than any dream we once chased. And when a man begins to see his wife not just as a companion, but as the person who carried pieces of his life alongside him, something inside him softens. The disappointments feel lighter. The dreams that never happened stop feeling like failures. They simply become part of the journey that led him to appreciate what he already had, because in the end, life may not give us everything. It may take away plans we once believed were certain. It may close doors we hoped would open. It may rewrite the future in ways we never expected. But sometimes in the middle of all those unfinished dreams, there is one person who remains constant, a person who stands beside you, not because life was perfect, but because love made the imperfect moments worth staying for. And when you look at her, when you truly see her after all the years of chasing everything else, you begin to understand something simple and profound. Maybe life didn't give you everything you wanted, but it gave you her, and that realization changes the meaning of everything. There was a time when I believed that the world measured a man by the things he could collect, the numbers in his bank account, the applause after his victories, the respect he could command in a crowded room. It seemed simple back then. Work hard, move forward, build something impressive, and eventually life would reward you with a feeling of completeness. The world around us repeats that message again and again. It tells us that success is the destination, that achievement is the proof that we have lived well, that recognition is the sign that our efforts mattered. Vic. So we begin running. We run through years filled with ambition, through mornings that begin too early and nights that end too late. We measure our progress with goals and milestones. We tell ourselves that once we reach the next step, once we climb the next hill, once we gather enough success, then we will finally feel like we have arrived somewhere meaningful. But somewhere along that journey, life quietly interrupts the story we were trying to write. It slows us down in ways we never expected. It places moments in front of us that cannot be measured with numbers or titles. Moments that ask a simple question we were never prepared to answer. What truly matters? The strange thing about life is that it rarely announces the answer with noise or celebration. It does not arrive with fireworks or grand speeches. Instead, it appears in quiet places, in ordinary moments that seem small at first but slowly begin to reshape the way we see everything. It appears in the presence of someone who never needed the world to admire you in order to believe in you. Someone who stayed close enough to see your struggles and still chose to remain beside you. A wife is a way of seeing a man beyond the things he tries to show the world. She sees the victories, yes, but she also sees the uncertainty behind them. She hears the confidence in his voice, but also understands the doubts he sometimes hides. She witnesses the parts of his life that no one else notices, the silent battles, the quiet fears, the moments when strength feels difficult to maintain. And still she stays. There is something powerful about that kind of loyalty. It does not shout or demand attention. It does not compete with the loud ambitions of the outside world. It simply exists with a steady calm, like a lighthouse standing firm, while the waves continue crashing around it. When a man begins to truly understand that kind of presence, something changes inside him. The definition of wealth slowly begins to shift. The trophies that once seemed so important start to feel lighter in his hands. The recognition that once felt necessary begins to lose its urgency, because the heart begins to realize that there is a different kind of richness in life, music, a richness that cannot be counted, a richness that appears when someone chooses to share the road with you, even when the road becomes uncertain. There are evenings when the world feels heavy, when plans have not unfolded the way they were supposed to, when the future looks different from what we imagined years ago. In those moments, success and achievement rarely sit beside us to offer comfort. They exist somewhere far away, distant and silent. But the person who truly loves you remains close, music. She sits beside you in the quiet. She listens even when you cannot find the right words. She offers warmth through presence rather than solutions. And somehow that simple act of being there becomes more powerful than all the accomplishments you once believed would define your life. Music. The world often misunderstands love because it looks for drama and intensity. It imagines love as something loud and unforgettable, something that constantly demands attention. But the deepest love is usually much quieter than that. It grows slowly, like roots beneath the ground, invisible most of the time, but strong enough to hold everything together. A wife becomes part of that invisible strength, music. She becomes the person who shares the invisible weight of life with you, the responsibilities, the disappointments, the long days that stretch into long years. She carries pieces of the journey not because she has to, but because she chooses to. And that choice is a rare thing. Many people walk through life surrounded by crowds, yet still feel completely alone. They have success, recognition, influence, but when the noise fades and the lights grow dim, they realize there is no one close enough to truly understand them. But when a man has a wife who walks beside him with patience and loyalty, he possesses something that cannot be bought or replaced. He possesses companionship. Real companionship is not built on perfect days. It grows through imperfect ones, through shared struggles and quiet recoveries, through moments when both people feel uncertain, yet decide to keep moving forward together anyway. Over time, those moments create a bond that becomes stronger than ambition, stronger than pride, stronger than the expectations the world places on our shoulders. A man may begin life believing that his greatest achievements will be the things he builds, the goals he reaches, the recognition he earns. But if he is fortunate enough to look closely at the life he is living, he will eventually discover something unexpected. The greatest achievement might be the relationship that survived all the ordinary days. The simple act of waking up and finding the same loyal presence beside him year after year. The comfort of knowing that someone understands the story of his life because she has lived it with him. There is something beautiful about the way love matures over time. In the beginning, it may feel exciting and unpredictable, like a spark that could turn into anything. But as the years pass, it transforms into something calmer and deeper. It becomes trust, it becomes familiarity. It becomes the quiet certainty that someone will remain beside you even when life becomes complicated. That certainty has a value greater than any treasure. Because life will always contain uncertainty. Plans will change, circumstances will shift, dreams will evolve into different shapes than we expected. But when two people continue walking together through those changes, they create a kind of stability that cannot be easily shaken. A wife becomes a witness to your entire journey. Music. She remembers who you were when the path first began. She sees who you are when the path first began. She sees who you are becoming with each passing year. She understands the distance between those two versions of you. And somehow she continues to accept both. That acceptance is a gift many people search for their entire lives. To be seen completely and still be loved. To be understood even when you cannot fully explain yourself. To be supported during moments when your own confidence begins to fade. These are the quiet treasures that transform a life. When a man looks back after many years, he may notice that the moments he remembers most clearly are not the loud achievements he once celebrated. Instead, they are the simple memories created with the person who shared his days, the conversations that lasted late into the night, the laughter that appeared unexpectedly during difficult times, the silent understanding that existed without needing to be spoken aloud. Those moments form the real story of a life. Success may decorate the outside of that story, but love fills the inside of it with meaning. And when that love comes from the woman who chose to become your wife, it becomes one of the most powerful forces a person can experience. Because she did not choose you for your victories alone. She chose you for your victories alone. She chose you for your humanity, for your strengths and your weaknesses, for the person you were and the person you were still learning how to become. That choice, repeated day after day, year after year, becomes the true definition of loyalty. And loyalty like that is priceless. There will always be people chasing bigger houses, louder applause, greater recognition. The world encourages that pursuit because it believes happiness lives somewhere beyond the next accomplishment. But sometimes happiness is already sitting quietly in the same room with us. Sometimes it looks like the woman who has been walking beside us for years, waiting patiently for us to notice how much her presence has shaped the meaning of our lives. When a man finally recognizes that truth, his understanding of wealth changes forever. Because real wealth is not something you lock inside a safe. It is something you protect inside your heart. It is the relationship that survived time, the loyalty that remains steady, the loyalty that remains steady, the love that stayed gentle, even when life became difficult.
Cuando digo voy hacia ti, no hablo de un simple paso adelante. Hablo de una misión, de una trayectoria, de una decisión impulsada por la intención, como un lanzamiento dirigido hacia un destino que realmente importa. Verás, en la vida, los viajes más significativos no son los más fáciles. Son aquellos que elegimos a pesar de la incertidumbre, a pesar de la gravedad que intenta detenernos. Y ahora mismo, mi elección eres tú. Mi dirección eres tú. Mi energía se mueve hacia ti. No porque sea conveniente, sino porque tiene sentido cuando digo que voy hacia ti. No estoy describiendo un acercamiento casual ni una dirección conveniente. Estoy describiendo una misión nacida de la intención, diseñada con claridad y alimentada por algo más profundo que el simple deseo. Estoy describiendo una trayectoria moldeada por la lógica y la emoción. Un movimiento hacia adelante que se niega a ser detenido por la distancia, la incertidumbre o la fuerza gravitacional del miedo. Voy hacia ti porque todo en mí se ha alineado hacia ese único punto donde mi propósito se encuentra con mi sentimiento. No es una elección aleatoria. Es un camino elegido, una decisión interior cuidadosamente construida donde la emoción y la determinación se encuentran en un solo vector de movimiento. El viaje no es pasivo, está diseñado, está construido con momentos donde la duda intentó ralentizarme, donde la vacilación intentó reescribir mi curso. Y aún así, cada fuerza que trató de desviarme solo fortaleció el impulso detrás de mi intención. Cuando digo que voy hacia ti, quiero decir que las coordenadas de mi corazón y las coordenadas de mi mente se han sincronizado en una sola dirección, y esa dirección eres tú. Voy hacia ti porque la alternativa es quedarme quieto. Esperar claridad, dejar que el mundo decida por mí, se sentía como abandonar lo único que realmente importa. La acción es lo que transforma la emoción en algo real. El movimiento es lo que convierte el anhelo en presencia. No voy hacia ti porque sea fácil, voy hacia ti porque tiene sentido. El sentido tiene su propia gravedad y la siento atrayéndome hacia adelante, no como distracción, no como escape, sino como el destino natural de todo lo que he estado construyendo dentro de mí. Cada pieza de crecimiento, cada pieza de crecimiento, cada reflexión, cada reconstrucción interna de quién soy ha apuntado hacia este viaje. Voy hacia ti porque cada vez que intenté apuntar a cualquier otro lugar, algo dentro de mí recalibró, se realineó y corrigió la ruta de regreso hacia ti. Hay un tipo especial de valentía necesaria para avanzar hacia alguien con total transparencia emocional, especialmente cuando el viaje es más que físico. Esto no se trata solo de llegar a un lugar. Se trata de convertirme en alguien digno de la llegada. Voy hacia ti, no como una versión terminada de mí mismo, sino como alguien que está construyéndose, evolucionando, optimizándose y mejorando con cada pensamiento y cada paso. Este viaje no se trata de perfección, se trata de intención. Estoy eligiendo intencionalmente avanzar hacia la conexión, hacia la vulnerabilidad, hacia esa fuerza delicada pero poderosa que es el amor. El amor no es una debilidad, es una fuente de energía. Alimenta la persistencia, fortalece la determinación, convierte la ambición en algo humano, significativo y que trasciende la motivación ordinaria. Mi movimiento hacia ti se impulsa con esa energía mientras voy hacia ti. También dejo atrás todo lo que me mantenía estático. El miedo, la duda, las segundas opiniones, las sombras de fracasos pasados, el ruido de las barreras internas que una vez intentaron convencerme de quedarme inmóvil. Dejo atrás la versión de mí que subestimaba la importancia de la emoción. Durante mucho tiempo, la emoción me parecía arriesgada, inestable, impredecible. Pero comprendí algo esencial. Los sistemas más poderosos de la vida no son los que están libres de complejidad. Son los que abrazan la complejidad y la utilizan para crear impulso. La emoción no es un obstáculo para el progreso. Es la chispa que inicia el lanzamiento. La emoción no debilita la dirección. La define y al reconocer esto, encontré claridad. Encontré propósito. Encontré la comprensión innegable de que la dirección de mi emoción es la dirección que debo seguir. Y esa dirección me lleva a ti. Voy hacia ti porque la distancia física, emocional o psicológica es una barrera temporal. Cada barrera tiene un punto débil. Cada obstáculo tiene un punto de palanca. Cada kilómetro, cada momento de duda, cada desafío en el camino puede ser rediseñado, superado o transformado en motivación. La distancia entre nosotros no es un muro, es una medida. Y cada medida puede reducirse, cerrarse, superarse. No temo a la distancia, la respeto. Pero respetar no significa rendirse, significa prepararse, significa adaptarse, significa crear los sistemas dentro de mí que me permitan cruzar la distancia con fortaleza en lugar de desesperación. Ir hacia ti no se trata de correr sin pensar, se trata de llegar con plena conciencia e intención total. Existe también una verdad más profunda. Voy hacia ti porque representas no solo a una persona, sino a una posibilidad. Representas un futuro, yo que nace de amar, entender, apoyar y crecer contigo. Representas la expansión emocional que ocurre cuando la confianza se encuentra con la pasión, cuando la vulnerabilidad se encuentra con la estabilidad, cuando la conexión se convierte en una trayectoria compartida en lugar de un deseo unilateral. Simbolizas un futuro en el que mi evolución no es aislada sino compartida, no silenciosa sino resonante. Este viaje hacia ti es también un viaje hacia una versión más completa de mí. No voy hacia ti para ser completado, voy hacia ti para ser completado. Voy hacia ti porque la conexión que creamos juntos expande lo que es posible para ambos. Todo gran viaje se impulsa por una combinación de visión y resistencia. Mi visión es simple pero profunda. Llegar a un lugar donde pueda estar frente a ti con verdad, con claridad, con emoción sin filtrar por miedo. Mi resistencia surge de saber que todo lo